why, like I was pointing out signs, try to find a support group. You got to focus on your mental health, because when you're trauma bonded, your abuser messes with your mind so much that you become somebody completely not even yourself. And I know this because my ex-husband, I was like this. I was trauma bonded. I became somebody that was not me. I didn't even know who I was. After my divorce, I was alone, and I stayed alone for a year because I needed to learn who I truly was. And at that time I went, wow, I haven't truly been single since I was 16 years old. This is literally a learned behavior. This is me trying to help cater to somebody else, help them help them do this, help them do that. It was never truly about me. And I didn't know who I was. I did not learn who I was until I was over 30 years old. I was married and getting divorced, and I didn't know who I was. And it was because of many years of trauma. It was many years of abuse. There's a massive flaw in our legal system for women and men with older children. Okay, the Australian says, and see, I'm not aware of the things that go on in other places, and that's why I tried to give information for like Canada and Australia, because I'm not aware of the things that happen there. So I'm trying my best to give as many resources as I can. But like I said, I'm not a professional. I don't claim to be, but these things need to be spread. The more people we have spreading awareness and speaking up and speaking the truth for these things and telling people this is what a trauma bond looks like. These are signs of it. These are the stages, because there is stages. It is an actual thing. There are 7 complete stages to trauma bonding. And you're right. It is hard as hell sometimes. And some people can't get out. You know, I watch shows all the time too, where, you know, I was just watching something today, as a matter of fact, where a woman tried to leave an abusive relationship and it didn't end up good. And it doesn't always, and it's really a shame. And it doesn't, and I'm not, please don't anybody say that I'm just coming after men. It happens to men. It happens to women. It happens to everybody, unfortunately. It sucks to say that. It does. I shouldn't have stopped this podcast. I should have let all this go in there. But, they can't really hear you guys either, so I kind of just sound like I'm talking to myself. But I beg for help, and I'm not getting any... Oh, honey. I did hear, I am a little bit aware that the mental health system in Canada is not good. I heard that their facilities are not very good. I heard that, because pretty much it's like because it's free healthcare thing that pretty much like you get what you paid for kind of thing in the States, which is really sad. That's a shame. It really is. Nobody's mental health should be taken lightly or taken for granted. If you're having mental health issues, I highly encourage you to reach out to somebody, anybody. If you have a friend, like you can't get a hold of somebody, because they always told me that too. Like, oh, if you need us before the next appointment, all you have to do is just call. They're never truly there when you're in a crisis. When you're in a crisis, you don't get nobody unless you go to the hospital, and I don't need to go to the hospital. I'm not sick. I'm not going to hurt myself. But I understand where you guys are coming from. I do. I absolutely get it, and I get how broken this system is, and that is why my podcast is surrounded. I do like to do women empowering women, because a lot of times we're too quick to tear each other down. Instead of going after one another over a man or, whatever. We're just too quick to scrap with each other. We need to empower each other, inspire each other, lift each other up, and build each other. The world would be just so much better. It would, if we all could learn to just have peace. I have two, you guys. I have two. And that's why I wanted to do this and surround the podcast on these types of issues. Like today, it was trauma bonding. Next week, I'm not sure what topic I'm going to pick yet. You guys will know before the podcast for sure. It will probably be again on Thursday night. I'm not positive on that, but I'm going to try to aim for that. I'm not sure on the topic yet. It'll be another good one. And hopefully I'm going to try before the podcast. Like I said, this was just our first shot at the live podcast. I'm going to try before to get people to get up in the boxes and share their story. And like I said, if you guys are not comfortable getting up here and showing your faces, you absolutely do not have to. If you just want to speak and say some things and maybe share your experience or side of things, you are more than welcome to do that. Absolutely 100%. If somebody wants to reach out to me, if you see that I'm doing a topic for the podcast and you think that you could bring something to it or you could add to it, you can absolutely message me and say, hey, listen, I have a lot of experience when it comes to that. Maybe we could talk. Because that is my main goal. My main goal is to help spread mental health awareness, to help spread resources. There's a lot of people out there that do not have resources. I do understand that there are people out there that do have resources and they don't always get the help that they need. I get that. I do. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. Muffin Man, I dealt with my father still is to this day. I don't associate with him because of it. I can't handle the lifestyle that he lives. I don't like seeing him that way. So I have nothing to do with it. My brother was the same way for many years. He was an alcoholic as well. My dad's whole side of his family drink. My mom does not. I never had. I did it like 19, 20, 21. By 23, I had my daughter, and after that, I did not drink. I can't. For some reason, my body just does not like it. It said, nope, you're not doing it. So, I do not. But, that's going to be another topic, too, for another time, because that's something that's been coming up recently in a lot of things. It's like a deer caught in the headlights. You don't know what to do because the fear is... Yes. She is absolutely right. Let me make sure I'm following you. Gabriella, I can tell you have a lot of insight. Thank you so much for talking to me and conversating about it, because this is what it's going to take, you guys, to spread awareness. People just don't know. He lied to my family for a while. My family believed him. I'm so sorry, honey. Sober 10. Way to go, Kristen. Yes, that is amazing, girl. Congratulations. 10 to abuse. It's still addiction. If you were an addict and you say that you're clean and, you're clean from one... You're what do you call it? DOC, drug of choice, okay? I just went total sideways. I was trying to think of how to say that, and I just sidetracked my whole brain. I didn't celebrate. I'm just glad. Yeah, for sure. Congratulations. You're more than happy to talk to anyone. That's awesome. Thank you, Gabriella. Thank you. I mean, that's my thing. Like, I don't know. That you're clean from H, okay? And it's been 4 years, but you sit there and you get drunk every single day. I'm sorry, that was my dog's freaking out because I knocked on my desk. If you sit there and get drunk every single day, that's not clean. You're not clean at that point. That's just you trying, that's you telling yourself. They think that the drinking is okay. It's legal. It's fine. Whatever. Anybody can do it. That's not the case. That is not the case. If you have addict behavior, if you have that addict mindset, you can't take one substance away, use another, and claim that you're not addicted. You just can't. It's not how it works. Hi, Louise. So that'll be, gambling, shopping, eating, smoking, and all of it. You just cannot do that. And it's okay. It's okay if you decide to have a drink and if you want to drink every day and you choose that's going to be your substance, that's your choice. And alcohol is legal if that's what you want to do. But you cannot, in the same sense, sit there and claim that you are sober. You can't. I see a lot of people do that on this app. So that'll be another topic for another time. We will be talking about addiction and what it really means. And again, resources. Not everyone can get resources. I understand that. I know that there are a lot of people who can't get out of a lot of situations. But here's my thought on that. My analogy has always been, our lives, think of it as your car. When you're in your car and you're in the driver's seat, nobody has control over that car but you, right? Nobody. So if you think that your life, if you're not going fast enough in the direction that you want to be in, then you need to hit the gas pedal. If you feel like your life is going too fast, you need to slow it down, hit the brakes. If you feel like there's something in your way, there's an obstacle, there's somebody or something in your way of getting where you want to be, then turn right or turn left, whatever it is you need to do. But you're the only one. Or because they have it under control, now they think it's okay. Yes. See, that's going to be a really good topic. It really is. I wanted to do trauma bonds tonight just because, and like I didn't do, we're not going to sit here all night and talk about one topic. We can veer off. That's absolutely fine. But I just wanted to bring up trauma bonds because, like I said, a lot of people don't understand the definition of a trauma bond, what it means to be trauma bonded. Trauma bonding it does to your brain, y'all. It literally fucks with your brain. It's literally mental warfare. The manipulators, the narcissists, they know they're doing it. They can feel it, but they're getting the high from it. When we're getting the low. That's the difference. They definitely know it's happening. Will they acknowledge it? Probably not. Probably not at all. But do they know that it's happening? Are they aware? Can they point it out? Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, I sat here earlier and I can't read. I'll figure out what part it was. It was this right here. How do I know if I'm in a trauma bond? So me going over, I have them there's a little dot next to each one of them. So as I was going through these earlier, I went, holy shit, that was one of my relationships. You're obsessed with the good old days, the good times, like when you first got together and everything was, rainbows and whatever. Everything was good. You were in the honeymoon stage. You keep the trauma and abuse a secret. I mean, most trauma and abuse, you keep a secret anyway, so that's a given. You distance yourself from close people trying to help you. I did that for years. I did it for years. You make excuses for their behavior every time. You know that you can't please them no matter what you do, but you try anyways. Child parent, thank you. That's what I was to my ex-husband. That's exactly what I was. I told him, I am not going to be your mother. I am your wife. I am not your mother. I am not going to do everything for you. I am not going to do your laundry. I'm not going to, I would do I was a good wife. When he worked and he was good and he did things that he was supposed to do as a husband and treated me as a wife, I would pick out that man's clothes. I'd put him on the toilet or the end of the bed for him when he was done with the shower. Like, I was a good wife. But when it came down to it, like, he wouldn't do that for me. Never. And then it was like, man, I really am. I'm being like his mom. I'm paying all of his bills for him. He doesn't even know how to do any of this stuff. You were the obedient child. Yes. Yes. And in turn, he would never do something like that for me. As a matter of fact, before we were divorced, I fell and broke my back in 3 places. And that man forced me to get out of bed with a broken back in 3 places, remind you, and wanted me to carry in 12 packs of soda and stuff out of the car and laundry baskets full of laundry. No. That right there, and I did the shit. I was trauma bonded. That was one relationship with him. I didn't feel addicted to him. I think I felt it wasn't the addiction to him. It was the addiction of having someone. It wasn't actually to him. Because in the end, I could have cared less. That's what I literally had to do to get out of my trauma bond, is I had to make me hate him. I had to let him do so many things to me that I finally, and hate is a strong word, but I finally got to the point where I hated, man. There was nothing. I wouldn't give him a drip of piss if he was on fire. And his mom and I still talk to this day, and she will admit, and if she was in here right now, she would tell you, that man ruined his marriage, and I did everything that I possibly could as a wife to fix it. There's nothing you can do to fix somebody if they don't want to be fixed. If they don't want help themselves, if they can't even admit that they're doing wrong or that they're an abuser, there's nothing you can do to help them. Nothing. The abuser manipulates you into doubting your own perception and your sense of self all the time.
Hold on a minute. Do you realize a lot of times when you have a person that kind of comes from their parents' house directly into a relationship, they're usually trauma bonded to one of their parents as well. We would often probably call it like a mama's boy.
Yep.
Something like that. Just putting that out there. So it's really, they learned that behavior. They watched their parent perform it with them, and that's really all they know as an interaction. They don't understand how, I guess, quote unquote, normal people or people without this triggering thing, which you did learn from a parent, because you're not like born to trauma bond to people, but you can be made to.
Correct. And that's exactly, I say it all the time. Children too, it's learned behavior. Where do they learn it from? Children learn things from other people. It's learned behavior. If you do something over a period of time, just like I said earlier, I was not single from the time I was 16 until I got divorced. It was hell trying to sleep, you guys. From the time I was 16 until I was 30 years old, I did not sleep alone. It was a learned behavior. It was a learned thing. I had to relearn to be able to sleep alone and to be able to do everything by myself.
And
even though I was...
They really are, like, whatever you do at home, let me tell you what, your kid comes to school, I can attest to this, I teach, they act just like you do. Yes. If you're obnoxious, your kid's probably going to be obnoxious. If you're really loud and boisterous, guess what? Your kid's going to be loud and boisterous. These things almost always go together. Or sometimes you do have an odd flip that occurs where somebody's really loud and boisterous, so their kid is mild and meek. Yeah. So sometimes you can get thrown, but there's always one person in a household that kind of, as they say, wears the pants. Basically, you make the decisions and you are the punisher, more than likely. You are the enforcer of things, all that kind of stuff. Right. Whoever that person is in that household is what comes to school. Like, that's what we see. And that works out that way about 95% of the time. On a rare occasion, you do get like an oddity.
That's why trauma bonds, yes, Lisa, you're absolutely correct. And that's why they're so hard to get out of. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're in them because they mess with our brains so much. And it's so hard. Yes, it's trying to break the cycle. And just like I said, there was a part in here too. What are the impacts of it? The long-term impacts of trauma bonding include remaining in abusive relationships, having adverse mental health outcomes like low self-esteem, negative self-image, increased likelihood of depression and bipolar disorder, and perpetuating a generational cycle of abuse. It's continuing a cycle. Yes, dopamine, Lisa. Yes, we talked about that as well. I'm gonna go back to the beginning and redo this just because it did break out a little bit in the beginning, and there are a couple people that are just now coming in. So, you guys, we're talking about trauma bonds. I did a live podcast tonight. It's not recorded, so hopefully it turned out good. I have no idea. We'll figure it out later. Anyways, I wanted to go over this because a lot of people don't understand what trauma bonding is. They don't know what the definition of it is. They don't know how to point the signs out. They don't know resources. They don't know how to get out of it, things that you can do, because it's really scary. They can be very scary. Some people feel like there is absolutely nothing that they can do to get out. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like that. There's always resources. There's always a way.
I was going to suggest maybe you give like real life scenarios of like instances, like when you talk about like, okay, some people are, they'll be really jealous, for instance, and then they'll pretend that is like their way of loving you. Mm-hmm. You know, like they want to keep you all but it's an over the top kind of jealousness, like where they kind of don't want you going and hanging out with your own friends or communicating with your own family. They try to ostracize you from other people, and they're usually able to do that by financial manipulation. That's one huge one that people don't really realize is occurring right under their nose. If you don't have access to the money in your household, even if you stay at home, you're a stay-at-home mom and you may not be making any money, but if you don't have access to it, chances are you really need to stop and take a look back at what you're sitting in, because you're probably being financially manipulated by your partner. I mean, I hate to say that, but you should have free reign over using any of that. There shouldn't be any issues with any, and vice versa. Like if you do have something, the way it works in my family, I mean, yeah, we both work and everything. We both make money, what have you, but let's say there's something that needs to be done and there's enough money in my account to pay for it. Guess what? I pay for it. And he has the right to do that. Right. And I vice versa. If, something needed to be done and it wasn't in my account, I could just get it out of his without, yes, they are separate, but yet we have access to both of them. And if they're controlling or like giving you an allowance, like for things like groceries and things. We all are adults. You know how to manage money. You can't go spend every penny on that. But they're like telling you like, oh, you're only allowed $75, which is an unrealistic amount, right. Unless you're going to eat like horrible stuff every day. You need to like really look at those kinds of situations. So like, I know it's easy to like say this is what this is, but if you give a real life scenario of instances, I think it's like a way easier thing to digest and understand like what's happening. I can kind of help, right. with it.
Yeah. So I'll go over, the actual meaning of a trauma bond. Trauma bond occurs when a narcissist repeats a cycle of abuse with another person, which fuels the need for validation and love from the person being abused. Trauma bonding often happens in romantic relationships. However, it can also occur between colleagues, non-romantic family members, and friends. So this doesn't have to be somebody that you are romantically involved with that can be trauma bonded to you. This can absolutely be non-romantic people.
Hello, everyone. That is the end of part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys got a lot of information from it. I will absolutely make sure that everyone knows what next week's topic will be about and what day it will be on. thank you guys so much again. I love each and every one of you. The support has been amazing. The amount of people reaching out and listening to the podcast is just overwhelming. You guys bring so much joy and a smile to my face, and I appreciate it so much. Have a good day, everyone.